trainer Malvika, and I welcome you all to another tutorial on data science. Today's topic is Python Essentials. This is the part 1 of the series, and we'll be having more tutorials on Python Essentials. For this and the upcoming tutorials, I will be using Anaconda for writing my Python programs. I have download and install Anaconda in your computers. It comes in for various operating systems, like for Windows, for Mac OS, for Linux. So whatever is apt for you, you can download that. Now, why exactly are we working with Anaconda? Because it's a free and open source distribution of the Python and R programming languages, which is used for scientific computing. And this aims to simplify the package management and deployment. The distribution includes data science packages, which is suitable for Windows, Linux, Mac OS. It's actually a very useful package manager, which contains all the useful data science library. And once you install it, the interface looks somewhat like this. And we have here an icon which is for launching Jupyter Notebook. You can launch it via command prompt also. I will be showing you that too later on. So I'm going to launch the Jupyter Notebook Anaconda interface using Jupyter Notebook development tool in Python. Using Jupyter Notebook, we can write code, we can comment it properly and publish it also. It supports visualization packages. So when I'm writing a Python program, I'll go here to New Python. Now this particular line, what you see where the cursor is blinking, is called a cell. And when it has a green border around it, that means it's in the edit mode. You can write here anything. Suppose I write a is equal to 10 and I write a. To run this, I press shift and enter and I get an output here 10. Easy, right? If you all have worked in C, C++ or Java or any other programming languages before, you will understand that how easy it is to execute something in just one line. It would have taken around about 3 to 4 lines in other programs, right? Now here, when I click here outside, it changes to a blue border. This blue border means it's in the command mode. Now what's a command mode? If I want to write some documentation or something as a heading here, which I don't need to be processed, but just comes as a heading, then I will press here M. M is for a markdown, and I write here a single hash, and I'll write here this is heading. So see, this has become a markdown. Now when again I'm here, it's a blue border around it. If I press B, it adds cells. When I'm inside it, it changes to the edit mode where I write something. Now I want to make a second heading. I come here, make M as a markdown. If you're not using the shortcuts, you can make it from here also. You can just click here and make it as a markdown or a quote or a heading. So I'm using the shortcuts because it's much easier when you're writing a program. It goes faster. So this is heading 2 and this is your heading. Now initially in the first line I had written a is equal to 10. Now I'll explain what is a, what is 10 and why is it used in programming. Whenever we do programming, we need to store our values in some kind of named locations which are called variables. Like b is equal to say 13, and if I print b, it shows me the value stored inside it. So this b is known as a variable. It's a named location in the memory. And this statement is a constant because I gave a fixed value of 13 to b. I can change constant values later, but until and unless you change it, it remains the same inside this particular program. And this program is one session what you're running in Python. So anytime if I want the value of b, if I call it, it's going to print 13 till the time you go out of the program and you print another program. So when we write variables, we have to be very careful in any kind of program that we don't write invalid variable names. Like I can't write something like this is invalid, right? This is not the correct. We can't use special characters in variable names. We should always try to give meaningful names. Like if I'm storing a number, let it be num1. So we understand that num1 is a variable name. If I write Delhi is equal to 90, it's not making much sense. So always while coding, give proper variable names. Now we have binary operators, like what we have learned in our earlier maths classes. Like we have operators like, okay, I can write comments in this way also. This is a very short way of writing your comments, just a single hash. And if I'm putting here, say these all are my they are my binary operators. So if I want to write, I want to 2 plus 8 divided by 2, and this value, if you execute it, you get 5 as the value. So we have these are your okay, whenever we do the any binary operator program, it follows the Bodmer's rule. So the operator precedence goes according to the Bodmer's rule. First the brackets, and then the multiply and divide, and then your plus and minus. Okay, now we have Boolean values also, like is 12 greater than 90, false, right? So we get, this is the Boolean value, and is 90 greater than 12, it's true. So we get Boolean values. So you must have started getting a feel that it's a very intuitive language, very easy, and it's fun coding with it. So I just wanted in this tutorial to give you a feel of the Jupyter Notebook tool, the interface, and about Anaconda. I will be going into serious programming from my second series onwards. So thank you for watching my video and for joining me in this session. Thank you.